Okay. Firstly, respectfully acknowledge this project is on the traditional lands of the Bunurong Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. The much-loved Puffing Billy Railway is one of the most popular heritage steam railways in the world. Dating back to the 1900, it has operated successfully as a tourist operation since humble beginnings in 1955. It's really a story of resilience of local volunteers. As a side note, related to resilience, really want to draw attention to two aspects that really didn't affect the program, were major hurdles to address. The first was due to an ombudsman investigation. The entire CEO and board of the organisation were stood down and replaced early in DD. And then later on, you see we're actually absent from site physically for 270 days, and that didn't impact on sort of construction. And a special mention to Emily's role in sort of facilitating that via remote. Couldn't speak highly enough of sort of Kane Constructions, who we've had the opportunity to work on a number of regional projects, and they reported in excess of 72,000 logged site hours on this project, which is a remarkable thing for this sort of region. In recent times, Puffing Billy Railway has experienced unprecedented growth, exceeding capacity in the first half of the line, but only 10% of people were travelling to the second half of the line. So the decision was made to address this via a new visitor centre at the halfway mark at Lakeside Station here. This location enabled a contemporary functional centre that pays respect to the heritage, people and places of the railway. The master plan we were sort of inherited proposed a 2,500 square metre building somewhat detached from the existing station. We instead sought for the building not to be detached from, but intrinsically grow out of the existing Lakeside Station. And we looked at the platform as something that has constantly changed over time, but something that we could manipulate and connect with. Along this platform, the varied functions and operations of the brief are arranged, a form that regularly switches back to mimic the railway journey to the station itself, and creates desirable indoor and outdoor conditions, such as those required for the trackside functions in the bottom left, or being able to map the sort of optimum cafe outdoor terrace location based on when the trains first arrive and when the trains leave. But above all, in tourism projects like this, there's often a pressure to build a new experience. In this instance, the hero already existed, which is the iconic Puffing Billy Railway. So our strategy was to focus on and building upon the existing characteristics of the railway, creating a visitor experience anchored within the authentic sights, smells, and sounds of that railway. The line from Belgrave arrives at the existing station on the left, and the new building picks up visitors in a walkway and sort of becomes the building beyond the bend. And a new siding is sort of placed alongside the railway station. So they've got this sort of operation sort of ability with the sort of trains. The linear arrangement of carriage-like functions is simple, legible and accessible to the many types of visitors. And it is a sort of freely accessible space open to sort of railway visitors or park visitors. Tickets, admin, retail, cafe, kitchen amenities, multi-purpose and a great hall for interpretations. This sort of describes the sort of the three pallets, the four sort of components, sorry. The platform anchoring the side at the bottom, these sort of series of carriage-like functions that sort of shunt around within, all held together by the third one, which is sort of this timber walkway, and then enclosed in a sort of a clad object that's sort of uniform, whether it's wall or roof, that really sort of ties the sort of project together. In many ways, we see the project as an instrument to experience multiple dimensions of the site, as this sort of diagram we did sort of explains. The design grows out of the existing Lakeside Station on the right and then expands in scale. The station overlooks the popular Emerald Lake Park, which is once part of the largest plant nursery in the Southern Hemisphere, hence its sort of European sort of landscape context, and behind is native bushland. The singular object between two landscapes is really evident here. It's a slither of land within Emerald Park, and it represents significant ongoing benefit to the local community. Outside of the economic value to Puffing Billy, it will return over $3 million in value to Cardinia Shire in the first 12 months. It's hidden when viewed from the lake below, and darkness brings a curious presence. An undulating long form on the hillside that recedes into the shadows of the native bush behind. And this is really assisted by the custom ridge flashing that create unbroken ribs between the wall and roof junctions. The ground plane, the platform, is a monochrome concrete terrain. This shows the walkway inside coming down to kiss the outside level, then rising again. A strategy used to allow a view from the cafe inside to the park. From a horizontal slot, the cafe terrace slides out, sunny and sheltered. And the Colorbond Monument matte cladding resembles the signature black steam locomotives. with the occasional pleat-like openings in their closure hint at the interior. So let's go inside, a very public building where train and park visitors intersect at this location and are welcomed into a freely accessible journey along a 150-metre long internal space, featuring nearly 3,000 square metres of sustainably sourced Victorian rough-sawn timber with an imprinted rhythm of structure inspired by the long winding trestle bridges that are so important for the Puffing Billy experience. So you not only get the visual connection to site, you get this sort of memory of the rail in these sort of internal linings. The cafe is very popular and accessible to different users. It's balanced between the views uphill and over the park to the right. These little nooks between key functions are sort of rendered in black express framing and have skylights providing alternative views back to the bush, a contradictory theme to the European park seen through the continuous glazed facade on the right-hand side. And further along that walkway and the continuous trackside sort of window there. In an interpretive sense, the visitor moves from the wider landscape to a more specific journey into the world of Puffing Billy, culminating in the Great Hall. And in the distance there is Loco 3A, a 12-tonne salvage precious object that's part of the railway's history. It was installed early on and the space was actually built around it. The undulating ground plane is carried through the internal spaces, such as the Great Hall, which gently folds down to sort of the access back out onto the sort of the railway siding. There are extensive client-led community engagement and stakeholder sessions. These were really critical to gain an understanding of the interpretation stories, and visitors leave with a greater understanding of the stories of the railway, the people and the place, including the story of the traditional owners. Moving back outside under a timber pleat, the building alongside the new railway siding here is a silhouette backdrop, grounded in place and not overpowering, to what we think is the real hero of this project, which is the Puffing Billy Railway,